Two statements were made this weekend about the state of nuclear negotiations between Iran and the United States. I want to place them side by side because I think the distance between them is the most important fact in this conflict right now. Statement 1. Donald Trump said that Iran has agreed to no longer enrich uranium and that the United States will recover and remove past nuclear material. Statement 2. Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson Esmaeil Baghaei said, and I am quoting him exactly, "At this stage, we do not have nuclear negotiations." Iran agreed to stop enrichment. Iran says there are no nuclear negotiations. Both of these statements cannot be true simultaneously. One of them is wrong. And I want to spend the next 15 minutes explaining which one, why it matters, and what the gap between these two statements reveals about the most consequential negotiation of this generation. What Trump actually said and what it means.
Let me be precise about Trump's statement. The House of Commons Library, Britain's Parliamentary Research Service, confirmed that Trump said Iran has agreed to no longer enrich uranium and that the United States will recover and remove past nuclear material. This is an extraordinary claim. If true, it would mean Iran has agreed to the core American demand, zero enrichment, that has been the stated precondition for any agreement since the conflict began. It would mean the most technically and politically difficult element of any deal has been resolved. It would mean the 74-day conflict is approaching a genuine settlement. But Iran's foreign ministry said there are no nuclear negotiations at this stage. I want to explain how both statements can exist simultaneously without either party being dishonest in the conventional sense, because I think the explanation reveals something important about how this specific negotiation is being conducted. Trump made his statement publicly to reporters on the record. His statement is designed for a specific audience, the American public, which the most recent polling shows wants this war to end as quickly as possible. 70% of Americans want the conflict concluded. Trump's domestic political pressure is real. Spirit Airlines shut down, gasoline in California hit on 10 per gallon. The midterm congressional elections in November create a voter backlash risk over higher prices that his own Republican Party has identified as a serious concern. When a president says Iran agreed to stop enrichment, he is managing that domestic political pressure. He is telling his audience that progress is being made, that the pressure is working, that a deal is coming, whether or not Iran has formally committed to anything on the nuclear question in a signed document or an acknowledged diplomatic channel. Iran's foreign ministry statement, "At this stage, we do not have nuclear negotiations," is designed for a different audience. Iran's domestic political audience, the IRGC generals who are now effectively running Iran's wartime government, the revolutionary constituency that the regime's legitimacy depends on. For that audience, Iran accepting American nuclear demands before the war has ended is the equivalent of capitulation. No Iranian official can publicly acknowledge nuclear negotiations while the American blockade is still in place and American warships are still boarding Iranian vessels. So you have two statements, each designed for its own domestic audience, each technically defensible from its author's perspective, and neither one telling you what is actually happening in the Oman back channel through the Pakistani mediators in the private conversations that produce the actual state of any agreement. What Iran's 14-point proposal actually says. Let me explain Iran's actual negotiating position as documented by Reuters, Al Jazeera, and CBS News this week. Iran's 14-point proposal includes withdrawal of U.S. forces from the region surrounding Iran, lifting the naval blockade, releasing frozen Iranian assets, paying compensation for war damages, lifting sanctions, ending the war on all fronts, including Lebanon, and creating what Iran calls a new mechanism for the Strait of Hormuz, notably absent, or more precisely, deliberately sequenced to a later phase, is the nuclear question. Iran's framework is end the war first, establish the conditions of peace, then address the nuclear question in a subsequent phase in an atmosphere of negotiation rather than active conflict. A senior Iranian official told Reuters that Iran's proposal to shelve nuclear talks for a later stage was a significant shift aimed at facilitating an agreement, acknowledging explicitly that deferring the nuclear question is Iran's concession, not its baseline position. America's response, conveyed through Pakistan, the nuclear question must come first. Iran received America's counter-response on Sunday and is reviewing it. So here is the actual state of the negotiation. Iran offered end the war, open Hormuz, defer nuclear. America said nuclear first. Neither side has publicly confirmed what the other actually said in private. And Trump told reporters Iran agreed to stop enrichment. The gap between Trump's claim and Iran's confirmed 14-point proposal is the gap between what America's domestic audience needs to hear and what Iran's domestic audience can accept. It is not necessarily evidence of deliberate deception. It is evidence of two governments managing two domestic audiences simultaneously while Pakistan and Oman carry the actual negotiating positions between them in private. Why they have not paid a big enough price is the more revealing statement. Trump made a second statement this weekend that I think is more analytically significant than his claim about enrichment agreement. He said Iran has not paid a big enough price. I want to explain what this specific phrase tells you about America's strategic position. They have not paid a big enough price means the American theory of this conflict that sufficient military and economic pressure would force Iran to capitulate on American terms has not yet produced the result it was designed to produce. The air campaign ran for 40 days. The blockade has been in place since April 8th. 48 Iranian ships have been turned back. 90% of Hormuz shipping is gone, and Iran has not capitulated. They have not paid a big enough price is a president acknowledging that the price Iran has paid so far, devastating as it is, has been insufficient to produce the outcome America defined as victory. That is a statement of strategic stalemate dressed in aggressive language, and it sits directly alongside the claim that Iran agreed to stop enrichment. If Iran agreed to stop enrichment, if the core American demand has been met, then the price Iran has paid was sufficient. The deal is done. There is nothing to say about price. If Iran has not paid a big enough price, if the pressure must continue, then Iran has not agreed to stop enrichment. The deal is not done. Both statements cannot be true. And they have not paid a big enough price is the more honest assessment. What this means for the Americans watching this video, I want to address the audience directly, because I know who is watching based on the comments. USA people don't want war, don't want Israel. 35 likes. The most liked comment on this channel. As an American who just wants peace. A comment that has stayed with me. You are watching this channel because you want the honest account. Not the Truth Social version, not the state media version, the account that places two contradictory statements side by side and asks which one is true. Here is the honest account. Iran did not formally agree to stop enrichment in any confirmed diplomatic channel. Iran's foreign ministry said there are no nuclear negotiations at this stage. Iran's 14-point proposal deliberately defers the nuclear question to a later phase. Iran is reviewing America's counter-response right now. The deal is not done. The nuclear question is not resolved. The war continues at enormous cost to Iranian families, to American consumers paying $10 for California gasoline, to 20,000 sailors trapped in Hormuz, to 45 million people facing food insecurity from the fertilizer supply disruption, to Spirit Airlines employees who just lost their jobs when the first major U.S. airline in 25 years shut down, citing this war's jet fuel prices. Trump said Iran agreed to stop enrichment. Iran said there are no nuclear negotiations. The distance between those two statements is the distance between where America's president needs this conflict to be, for his domestic audience, for his party's midterm prospects, for his legacy, and where it actually is. That distance is the conflict. And until it closes, the cost of the distance is paid by people who had no vote on whether the war began. 3 things to watch before Beijing, Pakistan is carrying America's counter-response to Iran right now. Iran is reviewing it. The Beijing summit is 10 days away, May 14th and 15th. First, whether Iran's foreign ministry changes its language. At this stage, we do not have nuclear negotiations. The phrase, at this stage, is a temporal qualifier. It says not now, not yet. It does not say never. If Iran's language softens in the next 10 days, something is moving in the back channel. Second, whether the oil price drops before the Beijing summit. A significant Brent crude drop before May 14th means the Oman or Pakistan channel has produced something the market is pricing in before any announcement. Third, whether the Beijing summit communique contains any language about nuclear nonproliferation. A single sentence referencing nuclear issues in a Trump-Xi joint statement means the deal has been agreed in principle, and Beijing is the announcement venue. Trump said Iran agreed. Iran said there are no talks. Watch the oil price, watch Iran's language, watch Beijing. Because the distance between those two statements is exactly what the next 10 days will either close or extend.